everyone. Welcome to the Manic Pixie Dream Podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Georges. I started this podcast because during the whole Me Too movement, it was a huge time of self-reflection for me and my own experiences and the experiences of my friends and my family members and women I went to school with. And, tons of men I know have experienced abuse in their lives. And I just didn't really feel like anyone was really saying what I was thinking or feeling about things. And I also feel like so many people who do have things to say about the Me Too movement aren't being listened to or are being penalized for saying maybe what could be viewed as the wrong thing too fast. I want to advocate for everyone, and I want this to be a safe space for everyone. And I think in order to make this a safe space for everybody, I have to reject certain ideologies that some people might not feel safe with. And I think that means feminism. So this isn't a feminist podcast. This is a very pro-women podcast. This is a very pro-victim podcast. Pro-victim in a way that we are pro-victims healing and victims living happy, healthy lives after they've experienced trauma. Not that we're pro-victim, like pro-making victims. We're against that here. I think the way that we can fight back against women and men being victimized at home, at work, in school, with laws, with negative images in the media, I think these are worth being discussed in an open and environment where we can just talk and just say what we think and feel, and in the way that we in ways that make us comfortable. And I think that a big part of that is humor. Humor is a really great way to release tension when talking about these subjects, and it's been a paramount aspect in helping me heal from my experiences. This podcast also advocates for free speech and allowing art to thrive and survive and be created in a free environment where artists don't feel like they can't say the things that they think or feel, even if it's not the perfect thought. Our first guest is Jennifer Polania. She is a wonderful friend of mine and a very talented improv actress with her own improv comedy team that she has with her boyfriend, and she's here to talk about her experiences with improv and with working with her boyfriend and long-term relationships versus short-term ones. That's what we talked about during I think something like that. It was a few weeks ago, but enjoy. You were so beautiful, and you just went running, and you decided to go on a run.
I did.
And then I was just on the way on your one run.
I know. I was like, podcast, run. I didn't know it was going to be on camera, and I have a pimple, so excuse my pimple.
No, you look like you were literally just like, give me some toilet paper and I'll dab myself off. And then I was like, okay. And are you sure you're good with it? And you're like, I'm good. And you look so beautiful.
Thank you. You too. I was just talking to my boyfriend, and I was like, oh man, you have to see. Your eyes are like beautiful. Like you have like these beautiful blue eyes. And I remember on set when we met was the CSI Miami. You remember that? Yeah. And we were background actors. We did background. I know. And I was just like, this girl is beautiful. Look at her eyes and your long hair. And you're like, I remember.
Thank you. I remember you too. I remember what was I on that?
You were like a medic, or what do you call the people that are in the, you were like an EMT?
I was an EMT.
You were an EMT.
I was a sexy EMT.
And you got some badass camera time.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was the person who closed the door, and then the camera was right in my face at me, and they were like, and turn towards the camera after you close the door to the EMT.
And I was just like in the back, like onlooker, like, oh, what's happening? Oh my God, dead body.
Well, because I would when I would do little stuff like that, I would kind of try and find the episodes and try and like see myself in it.
Did you find yourself?
No, not in anything. But I watched them. I watched a lot of bad television though.
What do you watch?
I had to watch. Oh, I don't know. I watched that show. That was terrible. I don't know. I just stuff like even like sort of like pilot episodes. I don't even remember what they're called. There was like a show that had Christina Applegate.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, I forget, like they call me back a few times and stuff for like something. They kept doing reshoots on this random scene. And it was like, so I got called back for this random scene on this show. And I was like, they keep reshooting this scene. What's going on?
Someone's messing up. And it's not me.
And then the show only lasted like one season and stuff. So it's because like they had to reshoot one scene. Like for some reason.
That's why they're like, we ran out of money. That one scene cost us everything.
Well, I remember there was airplanes on the first day. There was like airplanes overhead, and it was like everyone was freaking out because there were airplanes overhead. Oh, man. And then, and so I was like, and I guess they'll figure that out. And then it was like, no, they just reshot it again because with that day with their, I guess airplanes don't go overhead.
Yeah, they're like,
on the day they reshot.
Why didn't we stop? Damn it! They're so mad at themselves. I bet. Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what about you? So you're in the improv game.
I am. I'm in the improv game.
It's not a game, but
there is a game though.
Really?
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite improv games?
I don't know. I like the games where you have to, be physical, and then from there you come up with the character, and then from there you do a scene. I like that.
I mean, I think it's really fascinating. What's great about improv is that it's actually like, you really have to just be so comfortable with yourself. Yeah. And you have to just like, let's just have fun, go out there and do it. Don't even think. It's really just like a free fall in performance.
Yeah. You have to be willing to like fail, and you have to be willing to like look stupid.
I know. And I think that's why it's so good for people to do. Even if it's like, you're not even like, just like women should do it. Girls should do it. They should force girls to do it in junior high and stuff for like a self-esteem building thing.
Honestly, when I first came out here, I mean, because I did a lot of theater, like musical theater is what my degree's in. And when I moved out here, I was confident, but I mean, you're around a lot of actors all the time. Sure. And they're all trying to get what you want. So your confidence kind of goes down because you're like auditioning and you're not booking. And I will say that improv helped me like become a more confident, like just like, I don't care. And more like on my toes, like, person. And I really, really, I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I graduated from Second City and got my like schooling done, and just, I would love to continue to practice because I feel like you just learn more and more every day. It's great.
So you have your own improv team.
I have a sketch duo with my partner.
What's his name?
Jay Pichardo. It's called Sly Chum, and we've performed all over Los Angeles, and then in Chicago, in Austin, in Boston, and it's just like we write, produce, and star in our own show, and it's like an hour show. It's multi like media, like there's live film and sometimes songs, and it's just like a variety show. It's more than just a sketch show. It's pretty awesome.
So when I think of variety show, I always think of, well, like SNL, I guess, is a variety show. Is it kind of like that, would you say? Or is it more like Prairie Home Companion?
It's like, the way I think about it is if like, it's like Pee-wee's Playhouse with like Mr. Show.
I remember like, Mr. Show.
Yeah. But like live. Like if it was filmed, it'd be very much like Mr. Show or like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like a lot of goofy props and like cardboard props. We always start our show in a car going somewhere, and then like someone interjects us and like we get stopped. And then throughout that, the sketches wind in, and then we'll come back to us in the car or like somewhere else, like trying to figure out a problem. So it's like not just sketch, you come back to Jay and Jenny too. Like, what are they doing?
So how did y'all get start? Like how, like, did you and your boyfriend just like, we're tired of being a part of other people's improv teams, or we're tired of, being a part of these big, improv institutions. Like we just want to branch out and do something together. Or was it like, you wanted, this was like the goal all along. You wanted to do something unique and creative and something that was your own.
That was from the beginning. Yeah, we both were doing comedy schools individually, but when we met, we were working at a 24-hour diner, and we just started talking about a show. Like he was like, I want to do a 2-person comedy show with lots of sketches, kind of like SNL meets like, Pee-wee's Playhouse. And we had the same sort of like comedy styles. His was a little more like different than mine, but we still kind of like waved the same. And then we just were like, let's write it. And we're like, we can just do it. And so we wrote our first show before iOS closed. We had our first show at iOS, and it was really successful. We sold out the house, and then after that, like, we just like kept performing and getting asked to do like festivals, and we're like, man, we must have something, so we should just keep going with it. And we just wrote our pilot, and we had our first reading of our pilot this last month.
Wow.
And it went really well, yeah.
So can you, and I know pilots have to be super private, so I guess you can't.
It's basically our show. It's
really?
like bringing our show to the screen. So it's like Sly Chum wants to bring vaudeville back, which is like an old, it's like sticky kind of like humor, you know, we're going to bring it back. And so it's us trying to put on our show, and through each episode, we are trying to find a venue, trying to find a cast, trying to find props. And then throughout there, our sketches get intertwined. Kind of like Mr. Show. Like, we're something like someone slams a garbage can, and then now we're in a sketch, you know? So it just kind of like weaves and then comes out to Jay and Jenny, like our show.
You know, because we've known each other for so long, it seems. We've been friends for a long time and stuff, and when we were like Hollywood babies, and, you know, and it's so crazy because I remember, and this was the biggest culture shock for me growing up in a small town and moving to LA, I noticed, is that I would believe people. When people would say they were a screenwriter, when people would say they were a producer, when people would say they were directors, I would believe them. And they would talk about the shows that they were working on, and they'd talk about the movies that they were working on and that sort of thing. And then you'd realize, oh, it's a fantasy. They're actually not working on anything. But you're actually doing something. And that takes, I mean, I know this, that takes way more commitment than people realize, because people talk about it so easily, but they rarely follow through.
Totally.
And you're doing something with and with your boyfriend, which makes it even more amazing that you're doing it with a partner.
Yeah.
And
you got to separate the like relationship to like the like working, because sometimes it gets in the way. You're like, well, you don't like my character or my sketch? It's not funny.
He would say that stuff isn't funny?
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, sometimes he'll be like, we'll write something and I'll tell a joke, and he'll be like, that joke's okay. Let's try to make it better. And I'm like, better? It is good, which is fine, because like that's comedy. Like, there's ebbs and flows to comedy. Sure. He's never going to be like, that's shitty, Jenny. Never. Like, we always come up with like great stuff, and sometimes I'll be like, maybe you should be funnier, you know. That's our humor to each other. Like, we're just like razzing each other. But
is he right though? Like, do you think that even when your feelings kind of heal from him telling you that you don't like it, do you think he's right? After
I get out of my head of like the girlfriend Jenny, and I think of the writer, sketch comedian Jenny, I'm like, you are absolutely right. I've there's not a lot of details. I've skipped over of like, you know, something that could make this joke be heightened. It's like when you're writing, you know, you write a first draft and you think it's great, and then someone's like, you're missing a lot of stuff, and then you take it to heart. You're like, oh no, but you know that you have to have like at least 4 or 5 drafts for that your baby to be better, you know. So it took me a while, but now that I've learned, we've been together for 5 years and performing for 5 years, I have to separate myself from Jenny. That's like the relationship Jenny, who's like, give me attention, and then Jenny who's like, you're absolutely right, what was I thinking? So it's tough, but I mean, now that we've been doing it, I can do it, but it's still, sometimes you find yourself going back there. You're like, I'm so insecure.
But still, like, I mean, I feel like, do you think that comedy is different or differently received by women than it is by men? And then so it's like, and your part of it is that you appeal to the women in the audience, in your audience, and then your boyfriend appeals to the men. And maybe him being a man, maybe it's just because the jokes that you're writing maybe aren't all for him, because they're coming from a female perspective to, you know, to reach out to women and to make women laugh more so than men do.
Yeah. Comedy's all perspective.
Right.
I think that it's for sometimes men will find women funnier. Sometimes women will find men funnier. It's such a weird thing, because it's like, you'll ask someone like, do you like this comedian? And you're like, no, I don't care for that comedian at all. And a lot of the times, not all the time, but sometimes in the comedy community, I've realized that women want to be competitive with each other, which is so strange to me, because it's like, there's so little of us sometimes in the comedy world. Like, we should not be envious of each other. We should be rooting each other on.
Right. But, at the same time, like, I mean, should and do or instinctually, I mean, it's like the Hunger Games, you know what I mean? Or like, it's like it's like, because there are so few of us, it's like Highlanders, there can only be so many. So we have to go around cutting each other's heads off.
It's true.
To, become the last one.
I think because of the times have changed where like women are supporting women now, but back in the day, even like when I first started out here, like women just want, they didn't not want good things for you, but they want what you have. And that's going to always be in Hollywood. You are always going to want what someone else has. Mm-hmm. That's just instinctual, like human nature. But I feel like now because of like the Me Too stuff that's going on, like women are more for women now, which is good.
Sure. I mean, I guess I do have a lot of experiences with female misogyny for sure, especially in the industry, especially with other actresses, especially with, I'm not an actor anymore, but
Not anymore?
No.
Why not?
I guess I got really bad anxiety. I mean, I still have anxiety and stuff. And so I'd go to auditions and I would just, I would be a mess going into auditions.
Totally.
And just like holding it together, reading lines and stuff. And I was
hard.
And it got to the point where I was just, I was so stressed out driving and stuff. And so I started having an anxiety attack where I had to pull over to the side of the road, just to breathe and stuff. And I called my agent and I was just like, I can't even drive my car right now. I'm so anxious.
Yeah.
And so I got fired from that agent and, and kind of just, I don't know. It's just never, it's a sore subject, but honestly, I went back to school and I really liked directing and I really liked being behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I really like, and I guess, I think the things that I'm best at are always going to be writing. And if that's what you're best at and that's what your gift is, then that's what you should be doing.
Totally.
And, I haven't been doing it as much as I mean,
you could be like, I'm going to fuck up her name, Greta Gerwig.
Oh, I love her.
I feel like you could be like that. You can write and direct, and then you have the pressure off on you of being in your film and perform. You know what I'm saying? I think that the one thing that we've got going for us right now is creating our own content.
But honestly, I have no desire to act anymore. Like
really?
It's completely, it really isn't. It's just, I mean, the thing is that I actually really liked improv and I liked doing plays and I liked being on stage.
Yeah.
And I liked,
That's good.
And and so I liked doing stand up, and that sort of thing. But it's just in that kind of, but being in front of a camera, I was actually I was reading Marilyn Monroe didn't leave a suicide note, but the only kind of sign of she wrote a letter about wanting to commit suicide to her acting coach, and she said that she and one thing that really struck me in her letter to her acting coach was that she says she loses all sense of herself when she gets in front of a camera.
Oh,
and
that's sad.
And I know, and I mean, it was really profound to hear that was her experience acting, and I really related to that because once I get in front of a camera and once I feel like people are looking at me and people are like, okay, how good is she? Like, let's see how is she the best one? Like, because you have to be so much better than all of these other women, who are your are the exact same person as you.
Totally.
But at the same time, while I was in school, I did a little internship for a casting director and stuff, and being behind the camera and running the camera and being that person you do see, in La La Land.
Yeah.
I don't know if that scene with Emma Stone, and she's reading the lines, and they're
not
talking
paying
on the phone.
attention.
I mean, you see that happening, and actually being behind the camera and watching a girl who's probably put days rehearsing for this audition. Noticing that you don't give a shit about her.
Yeah.
And she's really, really fucking trying.
Yeah.
And it's so...
Yeah.
And it's and you kind of get a sense of what they're looking for. And so you see a girl come in and she really wants it really badly. And you just know just by looking at her, it's like, oh, well, she's, too young looking, or she's, that
totally.
Something.
It's about something different than their talent.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then you realize that they don't have a chance. But a lot of actresses that I didn't really know this is that, I mean, casting directors, they might totally write you off for the part that you're auditioning for, but they might see something in you and just
for
be
next time.
Yeah, for other things that they're even working on and that sort of thing. And so I've heard stories from the casting director that she's had, actresses, she had this actress come in who was she was overweight, and she was auditioning to play the leading girl or something. And so she was because she was overweight, she couldn't, it would be it would be an issue.
Yeah.
And so, but then she was working on another thing. And so she actually just says, oh, actually, can you read for this? Like a totally different project. And she was like, sorry, like this is for something else, but it's like my camera. So I'm just going to do this other audition, like on other people's time. She said that she's done that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I have noticed that like the more and more that I've auditioned and, gotten, more comfortable with auditioning and all that kind of stuff, I go in and you kind of can't think about like what they want. You got to go in and make it like a performance, because as actors, we don't get to perform as much.
Sure.
So if you go in and you don't think of it as an audition, I think of it, well, I get to perform finally.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's not up to you anymore. It's all in their hands. It has nothing to do with you or your talent. It just has to do, are you fit for that role?
Right.
Which sometimes it's a look that they're looking for. Has nothing to do with like, are you good or did you do bad, So I've kind of just, it's hard. There are times when you're like, oh man, I really wanted that role. But there are times when you're like, well, you just got to put it past you and keep moving forward. Because the more and more you think about it, the less time that you're like dwelling in it and making yourself feel bad. So
For sure.
yeah. But yeah, I actually enjoy auditioning now. I used to hate it, but now I'm just like, this is the way that you have to get in.
Sure.
And you're right. You're absolutely right. It's like casting directors. You have to find the right casting director to like you and then to bring you in over and over and over again. And then from there, they're like, oh, this role is perfect. And then that's how you kind of get in. It's hard, but.
It is hard, but you just need that one thing.
You gotta put those hours in, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's 10,000 hours and
Yeah.
stuff. And acting is, I definitely admire actors and I love actors. And I think one of my favorite things about, directing and about, working on set has been working with other actors, but not like being a co-star, being, a co-actor, but being
the director.
Yeah, exactly. And I've met, some really amazing people, behind the scenes, that are just fascinating people. Like that's what I love about working on set is that everybody's interesting.
Right.
Everybody's an interesting person.
It's got like
you have to be some kind of an interesting, unique, weird person
to want that life.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
And so it's definitely like a feeling of like I get these people and stuff, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, we're competitive beings and stuff, and things can be kind of smaller, windows of opportunity, definitely for women in roles and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in comedy, you must have had some experiences with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in my time being in the comedy world, like big things have happened. Like, I don't know if you ever went to iOS, but the main guy at iOS was fired for sexually assaulting people.
Was it like 3 women?
Yeah, it was 3 women.
And was he like with a beard and he was sort of pudgy?
Yeah, he was like the lead art director, and then he got fired.
And this was in New York?
No, this was here. This was in LA. This was the LA iOS, and they put a big story out about it, and yeah, that was pretty bad. And then just last year, the CBS Diversity Showcase fired their head director of the diverse thing because he was being the same way, and he got fired midway through.
So what are these situations? Who are the victims?
Girls,
like improv actresses, like
improv girls. And it's a hard thing because if someone in power like that is like trying to give you opportunities, you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. Like, this is weird. Like, am I going to be shut out of the improv world if this person if I say something? So I think that's what happened with a lot of the girls. They were like, well, this is my life, improv, and I don't want to lose my spot here.
Right.
So then finally someone said something, and then it was like a Rolodex of women after that.
I know. I always report it. And I think I think that might have been part of the controversy that I heard about because a friend of the guy who was the first guy that you mentioned, the guy with the what is it called? The iOS. And do you know his name?
I don't remember his name, actually, but he was the head guy.
Oh, okay. Well, he had a friend who came out sort of like, why didn't these women support it or report it? Why didn't the women come forward? Why is this happening now? And this guy was kind of confused about, how the series of events and that sort of thing that there's random women than other women and that sort of thing. And so, and then Amy Schumer came forward and she was just like, shut up. And it was like this whole thing. And so that's kind of how I heard about it. But I think it's really hugely important for women to report these sort of things because first of all, law enforcement is expected to investigate. Yeah. And if somebody is investigating, you can report things anonymously. Yeah. And they'll go in and investigate. Yeah. And see if something is there. And then if they're in there investigating, that means people have to, pay attention. Like, why are they investigating this one random person? Rumors start going around and that sort of thing. And it's contained. You know what I mean? And but women are so afraid of not reporting it. But I mean, the thing is that if you have, even if something happens after you report it.
Yeah, if you feel uncomfortable, sexual assault is not just like a touching or even just like words. Right. Words can be sexual assault. Like you can be offended. Like I feel like people say things to me and I'm like, that's really inappropriate. Like I get we're comedians and cool. Like we can goof on a certain level, but when people start really getting, into like weird sexual territory, right? It's a little iffy. And I know comedy's hard because we are running that line all the time as comedians where we can be like, this is funny, but this isn't funny.
And I know like that experiencing jokes that have made me uncomfortable or feeling sexualized or that sort of thing. And and then you're just kind of like, okay, like I don't like that joke and stuff. And they're like, it's a joke. Like, why are you taking it like that? And it's sort of like this loophole where it's like comedy is this place where you can just say whatever you want, right? And you're not allowed to be offended. And it's like, well, actually, I am. And especially if it's directed at me. Yeah. And I mean, anyways, that's just a whole other song and dance. But about reporting things, I mean, I know UCB has an HR person. That's not.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
USB or USB drive. UCB. USB.
When I took classes there, they made it a big point that they have an HR person, and that the HR person has no affiliation or relationship to any of the employees there.
That's good.
They're they're totally separate from the environment and stuff. And I think that's a really great way of things to work, sort of like this, separate place that you can go to. Like, I'm having issues with this teacher, or I'm having issues with this person or this director, and that sort of thing. And going to somebody before going to the police or before going, like, if
because honestly.
Right.
I come from like both sides. Like I very much play devil's advocate because I feel like sometimes people, not even just men and women, like will say something or even like touch you and not realize that they're offending you. And that person will go and say something. And then you're like, but I didn't know that made you uncomfortable. I wish you would have come to me and told me that made you uncomfortable. Because in the improv community,
right,
it can be very touchy. It can be very like on the edge of like inappropriate. So it's like you have to be willing to like not overlook them. Absolutely not. If you're uncomfortable, you're uncomfortable. But it's always nice to let that person know, unless you absolutely know that they're like being disgusting, a pig, like they're really sexually assaulting you. But like sometimes a touch or like something may make someone uncomfortable. I get it. But I wish people would be more open to talking about it, but people are scared. So I wish.
I wonder, I mean, the thing is that like, I don't, and there are guys in my life that haven't always acted right.
Right.
And I've always but it's like, I'll overlook it. And I'll kind of forget about it and just move on from it and stuff, even though I know that what they said or did wasn't really particularly cool. Yeah. And I'll just sort of move on from it. Sure. But if it's somebody who's in power.
Yeah. That's where it gets a little tricky.
Yeah. And if there's somebody who's in power and it's somebody who is, not learning from their mistake or not being, because nobody is calling them out on it.
Yeah, they're just using their power to get something from you. That's bad. That's what happens. And that's what I think was happening with the situation in the comedy school and with the CBS Diversity Showcase. Like, I just glad people come forward, and I'm glad people are saying stuff now, so other people aren't having to deal with it.
Sure.
Breaking that mold, which is great.
I just don't know because there have been movements in the past. And I mean, this can't have been... I don't know. Sometimes I just think, I don't think anything is really going to change.
You don't?
I mean, I I don't know. I guess just maybe it's just I can't imagine a world where things are different. And
that's I mean, it's been that way for so long, so it's like
because the issue. I mean, rape is so hard to prove. Sexual assault is so hard to prove. Abuse is so hard to prove, and all forms of verbal abuse are legal.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't be able to arrest somebody for words.
Right.
I just feel like I really believe in intent, and I think that if somebody wants to abuse and they have the intent to abuse, it doesn't matter how many roadblocks you put, that person will figure out a way.
Yeah.
And I've been amazed with kind of how, just with learning what, gaslighting was kind of recently, in the last few years.
Well, look at Harvey Weinstein, he's still going through the court, and it's like, there's so many people that are coming forward. Why are we taking so long to put this person away? Like, he is a monster and we all know it, but it's like we're letting things slide, and it's really frustrating. And I feel for those women, because it's like, why aren't more people coming forward? Because it's not just bigger power. Like, it sucks, but stars, we need people like that, coming forward, because women that that are hiding in the shadows, well, you didn't do anything to me, so I'm not going to come forward. But it's like, what kind of a person he was, so why aren't we all trying to help put him away?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I remember Natalie Portman. She kind of famously signed that petition for Roman Polanski to come back to the United States and be pardoned. But she signed that when she was a teenager, and she said, and her story was that an older adult, like a producer or a director or someone who she worked with, who she really admired and was sort of like a paternal father figure to her, asked her to sign it and so to support it. And she did. And then she, was quoted to have supported it and that sort of thing. But she was young and she was a teenager and she was impressionable. Yeah, exactly. And so then that's what she said. That was basically, but she only disavowed it recently.
Yeah.
And when the Me Too movement happened, and it's like, it was, of course, is it her or her PR agent? You better disavow this right now. To save your career, Natalie, and stuff. And so, but then I don't know why, but then I've had two other female friends who I know have, the whole Roman Polanski was treated unfairly thing. It was just like, I can't even believe that. It's so crazy that people defended that guy. Yeah. And it makes me, I guess, I would get to the, shut the fuck up. We're not talking about this. I can't talk about this with you. If you actually think that Roman Polanski should be pardoned for what he did. Yeah. And, and anyways, and so
it's just like Woody Allen, people are like, and not as
right,
but it's like, he's a great director. That doesn't discount well, I mean, he's okay. But I mean, he's fine. He's made a career for himself, but that doesn't discount him being kind of gross, Sure. And a lot of his movies being
yeah, but still, I have two friends who went back and they've repeated verbatim what Natalie Portman said. They repeated, oh, well, I was young and impressionable, and I had an older male person who told me to, that I should think this way. And it was and it was weird because it was I feel like there's a script being written right now for women. And it's what these rules are, and it's not coming from here. It's coming from a place of political correctness. And if you're coming from a place of political correctness and wanting to support victims, then you don't give a shit about victims.
It's true.
You give a shit about your career. You give a shit about how people view you, but you don't care about women who are actually being assaulted by, I'm sorry, but it's just by somebody who happens to be a very good director, somebody who happens to be a very good singer, somebody who happens to be a very successful writer or whoever. And it's you can't, all of a sudden you'll turn on those people, but only when
it's bad for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Hollywood game though. You see it right now with people going back and looking at older tweets and text messages or whatever that has happened way in the past, and then people are like, well, you said this, so you're this, or you're racist, or you're sexist, or anything like that. And it's like, oh, well, I was young and I was just trying to find my comedy voice. And it's like, I get it. We shouldn't be going back and looking at people's past. That's fine. But when you say things, and come on. You might have meant it, and you still might mean it. You just don't want people to not like you anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like with acting, especially because this has been happening to actors, you know, and I feel like those are the people, I feel the most affected by it. It's like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to watch, Kevin Spacey in a new movie ever again.
Yeah.
And he was my favorite actor. And I'm kind of mourning that. It's like, the thing is that actors have a private contract person to person with studios, and that sort of thing. If they're the face of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't see Kevin Spacey in something without thinking, oh, Kevin Spacey like forced, some like 18-year-old kid to give him a blowjob when this kid was fucking this kid fucked up and forced him to give him a blowjob. Yeah. I cannot look at Kevin Spacey and see his characters anymore. I see Kevin Spacey now and I see him doing shit like that to people. Yeah. And it's like, I feel like when, I'm sorry, like some celebrities get called out and that sort of thing. And everyone's like, oh, this is bullshit. They should have done this privately and that sort of thing. It's like, if you can't, I'm sorry, but so many people can't stomach what this person did. Yeah. And if they're going to do shit like that, they have to, if they're going to, people are going to go out and publicly announce that they're doing fucked up shit privately. Yeah. Then people are going to now see that and not going to want to see them anymore.
It's true.
And so it's unfortunate it's unfortunate. I would love to see another Kevin Spacey movie. You don't think I wouldn't want to see another Kevin Spacey movie? I would love to see another Kevin Spacey movie. But you know what? Kevin Spacey rapes kids and rapes boys. Yeah. Like he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old boy. Yeah. Like too bad for me. As much as I love Kevin Spacey, I don't want to see him in anything anymore. Yeah.
So that's true. Like it's unfortunate that like when you become a celebrity that your talent is pushed away when you fuck up like with your individual just self, because no matter how talented you are still someone that people look up to. Yeah. And when you do really messed up stuff, no one's gonna want to watch you, because you're right, all we're gonna see is like, oh man, like this guy, like for instance Tom Cruise. I can't really like Tom Cruise anymore, and it sounds awful, but I just feel like he weirds me out just a little bit. I mean, he can be a Scientologist. That's cool. That's his own prerogative. Like that's his thing, and anybody else that wants to be a Scientologist is cool, but for me it's hard for me to watch him, and I feel bad.
He's intense, and he inspired Patrick Bateman, so I mean it's kind of like, even if he wasn't a Scientologist, I would get you saying that,
he's just a little, he's back in the day when he was young, like he was just Tom Cruise, he was cool.
I just imagine him with those bright black sunglasses, and him just like like just doing stuff like that, and it's just he is intense. Like you're just so like he makes me nervous because he's so like just like that all the time, and it's just, I don't know if that's a good impression of him, but he's just like he's like,
I just saw him on Jimmy Fallon, and I was like, all I could think was, this guy is crazy. Like, he's nuts. Like, and we're sitting here like being like letting him come back and make another Mission Impossible movie.
Oh, it was so good. I saw it last night. It was great. Joe loved it too.
See, I can't get behind it. I can't get behind it. Oh my gosh. But you know what I will get behind? Top Gun.
Let me tell you about,
I'll get behind the new Top Gun.
Let me tell you about the scene.
Let me tell you.
Okay, this is what happened. So there was a bomb, right? And the detonator to the bomb was being flown away by the bad guy in the helicopter. So Tom Cruise, he jumps onto this like this bag, like the rope, right? And then he jumps onto the rope, and he's like hanging onto the rope, and then he tries like swinging up, and then he falls down the rope, and he's like falling down the rope, and he like almost falls off, and then he doesn't, and he climbs back up again, and he makes it in, and then he like shoots everybody, and then the plane starts going down, and then he manages to get the guy out of the plane, and he gets into it's not a plane, it's a helicopter, and in the helicopter, and then he's like flying a helicopter and stuff. Oh, it was so great.
I don't think I need to see the film.
It was the best thing ever. It was so good.
In my head, I imagined how cool that was.
Oh my gosh!
You just tell me the movie.
And then the helicopter crashed, and you're like, "There's no way any living person could live." He lived. They both did. I can't believe it. It's like, it's amazing. But you know that he wouldn't have lived if he was just some random like henchman and stuff. That's how they get rid of henchmen all the time, is that they die when biology dictates it, but when the action heroes don't. The action heroes live through everything.
I love that. I watched that clip actually because on the Tonight Show, they showed that clip, and I got really into it.
I know.
I really was like, no.
It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle. That's what it is. It's just like
it's just fun.
It really is. I mean, it is fun. And I think a little fun fact is that like I went to go see, again, I was convinced by a man to to do something I didn't want to do. And I went to go see the De Palma documentary.
What's that?
It was just this boring ass documentary about like Brian De Palma, who directed the first Mission Impossible, and about his pretentious, fucking obnoxious, annoying life that he lived in Hollywood, where he was really difficult to work with, and he made a bunch of shitty movies.
That sounds
and
awful.
Maybe 2 good ones. But he made Mission Impossible. And it was so funny hearing him talk about his vision for the Mission Impossible movies, because the other ones that have come out are kind of, he didn't want Mission Impossible to be an action movie. He wanted it to be like a spy, like noir or something like that, where everyone's doing things sort of, there's no action in it. And the producers were just like, Brian, we're going to put action in the Mission Impossible movies. I'm sorry. And he was like, no. I have like, so his vision for the original Mission Impossible was that there would be no action scenes whatsoever. It was all going to be like, you know, cell phones and gadgets and stuff, and maybe like somebody gets shot and stuff, but nothing.
I love it.
Yeah, I know. And so it's just like, but that's what they are now. That's all they are. It's just constantly just stunts, and more stunts.
So I think the last big action movie that I watched was the Alien Covenant.
Ooh.
And I was just like, oh my God, my heart hurts from watching this. There's just
my back
so
hurts
much
when I watch scary movies like that, and like I actually get back pain. I get really stiff back, like, and because I feel a tension, I think, in my back and stuff. So
did you see Hereditary?
I'm not going to.
Oh my God.
And I know what happens.
You should see it just because it's a beautiful piece of art.
I read an interview with a little actress that plays a creepy little girl in it, and she sounds like she's so funny.
She's
like,
so
I
cute.
think, I don't know. I hope she has like some sort of career. I guess.
I hope that they nominate some. Like Toni Collette in that movie was just like amazing.
Yeah.
And she's like so underrated, and I just think she's fantastic. Like I came out
most
of there watching
character actors are underrated.
Right?
I think character actors are so underrated, and they're the most talented actors, and they do the most with their careers. They have the most dynamic, interesting,
and
advanced
they're in it forever.
I know.
I love it.
And it's so unfortunate because it's like there's so many actors that it's like you see them in everything. They're being everybody. There's like, okay, they played the doctor in this person. They played the convict in this person. They played the lawyer
like Sam
in
Rockwell.
This person. Oh yeah. Well, but he's somebody who's sort of gotten credit for it at some point.
Now
like, he's
he
had
got
some
up
starring
there.
roles.
Netwolf remember him in The Green Mile when he plays that really gross inmate, and he's like, or he plays a really bad guy. He's the one that, spoiler alert, kills the 2 little girls, and then he lies about it, and they're trying to pin it on the other guy in there. But he's so gross in that movie, and I remember watching me like, ew, who's this guy? I hate him. And then you see Sam Rockwell and you're like, oh, he's kind of handsome, kind of quirky, and then he just kind of like built his career after that. If I could be like anybody, that's the kind of career I would like.
Ever since I was a little girl, he was one of the first people I was attracted to.
He's attractive, right?
In Charlie's Angels.
Yes, when he plays the good bad guy.
The good bad guy. Because
spoiler alert.
I don't know why, but it's like, you know, when you were going through puberty and you would have those little moments of just kind of like, oh, what's that in my vagina?
Yeah,
what's going on there? Yeah. And it's like, so I mean, I think Orlando Bloom was the big like.
Really?
Oh, that was when the doors opened.
Mine was Johnny Depp, I think.
Okay, yeah, but a little like knocking happened when I saw Sam Rockwell in Charlie's Angels.
Oh yeah, and he's like not like your conventional hunk.
No,
you know,
he's different. He's unique.
I like it.
He was really good in Choke. That's one of my favorite indie movies.
It's a good book too.
Oh really? I haven't read any of those guys' books. Guy's books.
Yeah,
he's an interesting person too.
Yeah.
Can I talk about, I wanted to ask you if you've had any Me Too movements or like experiences in the comedy scene where you've been like, I'm experiencing blatant sexism. Like I'm being treated differently because I'm a woman. I'm being treated badly because I'm a woman. This would not be happening if I were a man, that kind of thing. Like, do you have any experiences
I think I have a double negative, not against me, maybe for me, because I am of ethnicity as well.
Oh, okay.
I feel like sometimes I get more positive than I do negative because I am like the token like Latina, you know, where they're like, oh, we need to fill a void. So we need a Latina. So we'll choose her. And I don't think that I get picked because I'm a Latina. I don't like to think negatively. So I'm like, I'm being picked because I'm talented, you know?
Sure.
And maybe that helps a little bit, but cool, I'll take what I can get in this like business, you know. If I have to get picked because I'm a Latina, cool, but they're going to pick me because I'm talented too. They're not going to just pick me because I'm Latina.
Sure.
So I feel like that sometimes is the only time that I feel kind of pushed out, because a lot of some communities are like, there's a lot of like less diverse casts. Like
Sure.
they don't want to like think that they can be as funny as like, you know, like a white woman, you know, writer or
Well, one
comedian.
thing I've noticed, I feel like I've gone to some UCB shows and that sort of thing. I've gone to some improv shows. I've never seen like a black guy.
No,
improv actor.
It's a hard, like
That's
a lot of schools just like it. They just, it's like they don't want to believe that, you know, everyone's funny, you know, or like maybe you should take a chance on like more diverse casts, but I don't know if it'll change. I feel like we kind of have to make our own moves, you know, like I was in a show at Second City called Hispanic Attack, and it was the first full Latina cast, and it went really well. We did really well. And I think it's stuff like we have to show them that we're worthy. And then when they do, they are like, oh, I see it now. I see it now. So, I mean, it's not even just in the comedy, it's in like film and like as an actress, like it's going to be easier for white women and white men to get more roles than like me. I kind of have to play to my stereotypes sometimes and get put in a box. It's changing now a little bit, but I feel like that's where I have like my hard times. I'm like, you know, I wish I could have more opportunities, but I feel like there's not that many, so I have to make my own sometimes. But I've never had any like sexual assault. I feel like because I'm from a small town in Wyoming, I was like raised like very tomboy-y, and so I'm kind of a like no shit, don't give me shit kind of a person. And when I first came out here, I was very naive. I was like, oh, I'm so like, don't. And you know, I developed harder skin, but I've always had kind of hard skin just because I've grown up with a lot of boy cousins and my brother and my, you know, like living on a farm and just being like, you know, you have to be tough.
right.
Kind of. So that kind of gave me a little edge, I guess. So I feel like if someone did try to do something to me, I'd be like, you know, back that dick up because I'm going to kick it off, you know? So
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never had any. I've had a lot of friends have things happen to them, and I feel really, really sad. And obviously, I knew some of the people that were affected in iOS, and you know, I think to myself like, I wish women had like counseling or like people like at their side to like help them, because sometimes other women will just be like, keep your head down and don't say anything. Sometimes that's what women say.
Oh, I know.
To other women.
Oh, for sure.
Friends.
For sure. I mean, I think because it's like, I think that was what worked for them, you know, because I mean, I mean, I'm sorry. Like this is like a whole can of worms, but I know that there have been times where it's like, I've, you know, really fought back against something, and it's like, well, that was not worth it. I certainly wish I didn't do that. This didn't go great for me going, you know, I'm the one that looks dumb. Yeah. But you know, I do know that it's important to report things. Yeah. I do know that, you know, even if it's like, you know what, I'm just going to report it and hopefully, you know, it gets in the right hands and that sort of thing. And then it's like the person who I've reported, you know, does shit again, you know, and then they have something else on record, and that helps the person that's been victimized after me. Yeah. And so, but sorry, I had a point.
No, it's okay.
No, I have like my mind is going like all these different directions.
No,
like there's so much
I mean, it's that this topic is such a hard topic. Oh, for sure. It's like,
well, you're the first like young woman guest besides that I've had and that sort of thing. So it's like, I feel like when like we have so many, I mean, you and I have so many shared experiences and so many, you know, just from, and so anyways, like where to go with this?
No, I feel like this is something that needs to be brought attention to. Not only just the Me Too movement of like women like with like higher pay, being paid the same, women not being assaulted, you know, like women being taken seriously and not being, you know, victimized. Like that's a big issue. And then on top of that, like diverse stuff, like people need to like make way for, you know, diverse casts. Like, you know, we learned our lessons with the Oscars, like, was it 2 years ago where they were like, Oscars so white? I don't remember when they started doing that hashtag.
I don't know.
Where like none of the people that were being nominated were of color, not one. It was all just like, you know, British people, Australian, you know, like just, well, you know, no one like Black, Latino, Asian. Have you ever seen an Asian win an Academy Award? Never, once. So it's like, I want this movement of like diversity to like, just like start kicking. Like I want people to just like start really, really like just taking a look at really talented, like diverse actors, actresses, comedians, like, because we're all here, you know. So we'll see.
Well, it's like it's a different kind of life experience, I guess, from a different kind of culture and that sort of thing. And if like these people aren't being seen and aren't being related to, then it's like, how are you relating to your country?
Yeah.
If you're not, if you can't enjoy the perspective of people who don't share yours.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a kind of an important issue, why diversity is an important thing to have and just to see.
Yeah.
And and it can go, I think it is like a cultural thing, you know, because I remember going to see, my dad took me to go see 8 Mile when it came out. And it was like that Eminem movie. And he was just like, you know, I really think this would be a good experience for you to see this kind of culture and to see this kind of, you know, environment and that sort of thing. And it was about a white guy, you know, but it was a whole different world. It was a whole different way of being. It was a whole different way of living. And that was, you know, I saw, you know, has some similarities to it, but then others totally not. And it was like this totally different planet. And so I think like it's important to see those things, and it's important to see like different people with different life stories.
Yeah.
And you know, because I don't know, I mean, I would love to see if a comedian go up there and talk about their experience like crossing the border illegally, you know, and have somebody doing jokes about that and their experiences with being an illegal immigrant. Because I mean, I feel like that would be a great voice to have right now, somebody who's out there speaking and joking and talking about those kind of experiences. And so is there anybody in your group or in your team has like relatives that have like are illegal immigrants who are like, you know, victims of ICE or?
I don't think that. Well, I mean, both Jay and I are both of the Latina and Latino descent. Like his family is all like, his mom is Costa Rican, his dad is Mexican, and his family, most of his family, like dad's side, lives in Mexico. They live there, so they're not trying to cross over here. But I mean, I know a bunch of people that are like, you know, just trying to like fight to be here. And like, I don't know. I just feel like we're in such a hard time right now with like everything politically. And like, I just wish we were in a different time, you know, like I want us to push forward to that time when everything is like better, you know, because right now everything's so shitty with like, you know, the president and all that kind of, you don't want to get into that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like there's so much really, really like awful things going on. And it's sad to like think about that. We're letting that kind of stuff come back in, like racism and like, you know, ICE, like taking families away from their, you know, kids, and like it's just sad. It's a sad climate.
It is. Well, I mean, it is sad when the people the children that they're separating from their parents are actually the children of their parents.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like I mean, it is like a human trafficking prevention thing. Yeah, and because you don't know if they're coming in without records and they're coming in without IDs and without passports and that sort of thing. You don't know if like, and so, I mean, it's so difficult to kind of like, I mean, these are really just these impossible situations and stuff. And it's just, I mean, it's crazy. Just like, it's dark. These are dark emotions. These are dark things. These are situations that change your life and that affect you for the rest of your life.
Totally.
And, but I mean, human trafficking is a huge, you know, platform for me. And, and so, you know, I guess,
happens right outside our doors, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, it does. I mean, I remember there was this, I volunteered, you know, with this like human trafficking awareness thing. And they talked about, you know, like there are these suspected locations, you know, that they think that, you know, there, you know, trafficking is happening. And one of them was like a restaurant that was like not far from where I lived. Like it was
Really?
like, I remember it was like this Chinese restaurant or something like that. And they always had like a C in the window. They never like, and that's what I remembered about the location is that they
had a C, like the restaurant was being graded a C.
Yeah. And it was like, and that was how it was for like a year. Like they never updated it. It was just, they were fine with the restaurant having that rating.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that it actually was like a human trafficking thing. Like everybody that worked there, like were, being held against their will. Like
so
basically
sad.
they had to work there and stuff. And then they had, I guess, kids and stuff. And so it's just, but it's
a sad thing. It really is. 'Cause I didn't realize that was such a big thing until I was reading an article about how they'll put these traffickers will put like model, like, ooh, we're looking for models, come down to this location and bring a headshot and resume. We're looking for a 16, 17, for young girls.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what they do. They steal them and then they ship them off to like a different country. And it's like so sad and scary. And it's like we're living in these times where these things are happening. And, you're right. There's not a lot of awareness about what we're looking for, what's happening. So it's sad. It's super sad because it's happening like here, right on our noses,
Yeah, I knew a girl who had been trafficked from Hawaii.
That's crazy.
I know. Well, the thing is that it totally happens, and it was kind of the same thing. She was like this girl who like lives in Hawaii. She met this guy on like online or something like that. She wanted to come to LA and be a model, and he was just this like random dude. And he was just like, yeah, come to LA. I'll buy your ticket and you can stay with me and stuff. But she's 18, dumb as shit, like didn't, wanted to live in LA, and she just put her life in this guy's hands, and he was in control of her life. And what was the issue was though, is that she was 18.
So it didn't.
So, I mean, like it was sort of like, well, she can, does she have legs? Like then she can leave, but she was actually legitimately terrified, of this guy. And she didn't know anybody here. And she, wasn't in a position where she felt like she can leave. Oh, and so sucks. It was, it happens, and this wasn't, this wasn't even from, and she was an American. She was an American girl, she was from Hawaii. Yeah. And so it's just, it really is just that, just don't trust people, know, like really just, just don't like really be really be suspicious of good intentions. And,
just have your wits about you.
Yeah, for sure.
Have your little wits. Yeah, you got to be careful. A lot of like, you run into a lot of like, but I feel like, I don't know, I have a pretty high bullshit meter. So I feel like as soon as like something seems a little off to me, I'm like, wait, what did you say? That was weird, you know? So I feel like you just have to just kind of listen and just be aware,
Yeah.
City life, got to just be aware of everything, about your surroundings, and then hopefully help somebody if they need help. I don't know.
Yeah. So going back into the comedy thing, like I know a lot of comedians have been like kind of called out a lot, like Louis C.K. and that sort of thing. And like actually kind of quite a few comedians had sort of like sketch backgrounds and stuff. And so a lot of, everyone kind of thinks like severity level, like what maybe, or like Aziz Ansari, I thought was a surprising one. I thought that was a very, I don't know what's really going on with his career now. I don't think that what he did was, I know that's like sort of like a,
no, it's a hot topic. I know that I read it and I felt bad for the girl, and I just feel like it was a bad date. Like I felt like it just felt like, to me, I felt bad for both of them because it seemed like he was trying to be this like porn star kind of like sex maniac guy, and then just totally misread her signs, even though she was like, dude, no, well, I think that's kind of an interesting thing about comedians, because like that guy, I feel like so many comedians and so many funny guys, they're funny because they were nerds for a really long time, and they kind of like started being funny to like, and then good looking, and girls are attracted to me.
I can do this now. And they don't know what they're doing because they were nerds all their life, and now like they have like female attention, and so I don't know who, and they don't really know how to behave. They don't know really what to do with it. And because I had those bad dates when I was a teenager, but he was a teenager too and stuff. So it's kind of like they don't know what they're doing. So those kind of things happen. But with Aziz Ansari, he was like in his 30s and that sort of thing.
and it doesn't discount her. I don't want to discount her the way she felt, because obviously she felt that it was wrong, and it obviously hurt her so bad. She's still thinking about it to this day, So she wrote that article and made her feel better. And I feel, like I said, I just feel bad for both parties, because it just seemed like a really big misunderstanding.
And I was shocked because, I mean, when I heard it happened, I was like, wow, well, I'm really surprised that he behaved that way. And I hope he learned his lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for Master of None to come out, and that sort of thing. Like, and that was sort of my reaction at first, know. But then it got so
big.
Yeah, where it's like they're going to cancel his show. And I was really surprised. But then I thought about it for a really long time. Like, it's actually something I've thought about for, really, because I mean, it is kind of different. I feel like
it's a different,
because it's like it's a bad date, and and he's been called out on the level of like a literal rapist, like the level of he literally raped someone. That's what you would think he did.
Yeah.
And so, but I was thinking about it. You've been on a date like that. I've been on a date like that. They suck. It's the worst feeling in the world. I like, it's the most violating thing, having bad sex. Like, bad sex is violating. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
Totally.
Like, you fuck a guy and it's the worst thing ever. Afterwards, you feel like
a one night stand where they're like, all right, bye, and you're like, okay.
It's dirty.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, if she felt like it violated her, then she should had every right to say it.
Yeah, and I totally feel like, girl, like, yeah, like that sucks. Like, going down on a guy you don't want to go down on.
And keeps pushing your head down.
Yeah, that's not.
That's the worst, right? Yeah. Where you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Quit pushing my head down there. I'm gonna smack your wiener.
The old whack-a-mole. No. I think my trick is if I date a guy and he does that, I just overeat and let myself puke all over his dick.
Sometimes you just have to say, no, I don't want to give you a blowjob right now, but if you play your cards right, maybe we could hang out again. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like guys are like, they expect sometimes. And you're like, cool. I'm okay with you expecting. But if I don't want to give it, then you just got to have to be cool with that. Right?
But they're not, though. They're not cool with it. And it's like, they don't. And they know they can't. I mean, it's just, it's.
Yeah.
It's really, like, this really feels impossible. Like, this really feels really fucking impossible. And I just don't know what to do. Yeah. And you just have to be very communicative. And I think
you have to communicate like big time. And sometimes guys are not ready for it. But at least you're being honest, You just have to be honest. Like, I feel like from the get-go, like, if you're going to go out with somebody and there's expectations, maybe just like put it up. I mean, I'm one of those gals that just puts it all right on the table. I'm like, this is me. This is what's happening. Mm-hmm. If you don't like it, sorry.
Oh yeah, like sometimes it's like I go over to a guy's place, like maybe on the first or second date, just to like Netflix after like dinner or something like that, and like maybe make out or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't feel like, if I know I'm not going to sleep with them and I don't want that to happen, I'll tell them before we even go inside. Like, I'm like, they'll like ask me, hey, well, do you want to come back to my place and hang out? And I'll be like, okay, but to be honest, like, I don't really feel like comfortable like doing anything. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And if they're like, oh, well, I was thinking this was just going to be like a one night thing or something like that, or like they'll,
glad we talked about it. Bye.
They've never said that. But it's like,
because I want you to come.
I know that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Come on back. I swear I won't try anything. Yeah, right.
But I mean, I do fault men. I don't date men who. The thing is, one of the things I'm coming about with this podcast is that it's like I'm kind of staying away from feminist. I'm doing more pro women and stuff. So that way, it's just like it takes away like sort of the like, because Meryl Streep is a feminist and she's done.
What's the definition of feminist?
Well, I mean,
I need to know this because I feel like
it's an extremely broad thing that can mean anything. Like,
yeah, because I feel like I'm pro women, but I don't think that I'm like I say, I play a lot of devil's advocate,
right?
Because I want,
and so it's like I feel like there's a script being written as we speak, the feminist script and that sort of thing, and I'm reading off scripts so much with speaking my own opinions that it's hard for me to feel like I'm a feminist anymore. Yeah. So I just say that I'm pro women, and so this isn't a feminist podcast. This I do want this podcast to be pro women.
Yeah.
And so, but with the whole, one of the reasons why can I call myself a feminist if I don't date men who call themselves feminists? And because the experiences I've had with men who have identified themselves as feminists, like, hey, chica, I'm a feminist, and let me tell you about women's issues, and I want to talk about women's rights with you. And stuff. Yeah, like, oh, like what? Like, hey, lady, girl.
Let me tell you about being a woman, because I'm a man and I know how being a woman is. First, I love that. Those are my favorite guys. They're like, I know about being a woman. Let me tell you what it's like being a woman.
What's it like being a woman?
Who are you?
What is it like? Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I get a lot of that, being, yeah. He's funny.
Tell me about being a woman.
Tell me about being a woman.
This is great foreplay. It's turning me on.
Very funny.
Well, you will get cramps.
Yeah. I know about periods. Let me tell you about period comes once every month, I think. And you gotta get those things. What are they? Maxi pads, yeah. And I can't have sex with you, so that's bad. That's my guy. That's my guy mansplaining periods. And then you lose a lot of blood, so you gotta drink a lot of water. What?
Because that's actually happened,
right?
And it's like, but it's a line though. It's like, I mean, it's like, because the whole like, oh, did it hurt when you fell from heaven thing isn't going to work anymore, because we've already heard that one so many times. So now it's like they're like, oh, well,
that line works on me every time.
Yeah. Like, did it hurt when oppression happened or something like that? It's like, yes, it did hurt.
Yeah, really hurt, dick. That's so funny. Well, I'm glad you said I like the pro women thing, because I hear a lot of feminist. I hear that word a lot, and I honestly know what it means, but I don't know how I, because I feel like I qualify. I want to be a feminist, but I don't agree with a lot of the things that are being said, just because I'm like, I want to be pro everybody. Yeah. I want everyone to have a side, unless we know that side is absolutely wrong. But I feel like I just don't want to be inclusive, Right. I want it to be, I just want everyone to like get along. Right. I don't want us to be like, well, we're a woman club, so fuck man, like I don't hate men. I love guys. I love men. I love, I look up to a lot of like male comedians. I look up to a lot of female comedians.
Oh,
like
for sure.
There's like, for me, it's like both sides. Like I can't just sit here and be like, fuck guys.
Yeah. But I mean, going back to Aziz Ansari, because I think he is like the most, a very fascinating thing. And I don't want to seem like I'm really like obsessed with it and that sort of thing, but it is an exciting case. I feel like for me, like analyzing the whole like Me Too movement, I think he is a fascinating chapter in the whole Me Too thing. And, but going back to him, I was kind of thinking like how I felt about him when I first, when he first came on the scene. I remember seeing him in Funny People and Parks and Rec and that sort of thing. And I remember thinking, I didn't like him at first. Like, I don't know if that's how you felt. Like, did you like Aziz Ansari when you first came on the scene? Like, when he was I thought he was kind of annoying, and I thought he was kind of obnoxious.
Yeah. He's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I'm Aziz Ansari. Yeah. Like, he's very, like,
But so...
he has, like, a very specific way about him. But, yeah.
I, as a woman, just kind of was like, okay, like, not gonna watch your special, not like you're not my favorite storyline on Parks and Rec, I tolerate you.
He always played like the creepy like guy that was like, hey.
Yeah. And I think that was his sort of shtick and stuff. Yeah. But then I remember kind of how I started warming to him was when he went on Jimmy Kimmel or he went on whatever, and he was like, I'm a feminist and I love women and I support women and women's rights and that sort of thing. And then I was like, oh, like he's a feminist and he's an advocate for women and stuff. And so I was like, well, now I'm kind of like, well, hello, Aziz. I'm gonna watch your Netflix special and stuff. And and that's sort of how I became an Aziz Ansari fan. And I don't watch a show on Netflix, but that I wouldn't watch it if it was anybody's show. It's just not my kind of television.
Master of None?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
Really?
I didn't think I was going to like it. I started watching it and I was just like so into it. I just thought it was great writing, great.
I thought it was going to be more like Girls, and it wasn't as gritty. I thought you can call that show gritty.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just his life. Like, I think it pretty much is like real, like he's taken real stories that have happened to him and he's put it in there. Great cast, funny. I just really enjoy it. You should give it a chance. Yeah, it's a good show. I really dig the writing, and he uses one of the best friends that he has. I can't remember the actress, but she's really good, and she's written and directed some of the episodes. And I can't remember her name, but she won an Emmy. She won something.
Okay, I know who you're talking about then.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about. Like, okay.
The whole cast is
Lena
great.
something, right? Lena.
Maybe. I'm not sure. But she, diverse, great episodes, so good. Like, love that whole dynamic between, they're best friends in the show, her and another guy. I should know their names because I'm like a comedian and I should know their names, and I feel awful.
I'm more of a faces person.
Yeah.
I'm more of a faces person. Some people are all names. And they'll see Brad Pitt and they're like, oh, is that Johnny Depp? And it's like, they're like, good for you for remembering the name, you know? And so like, but they're kind of like that with like across the line.
Yeah.
Everybody.
But I don't want to be wrong, but the other friend is, I don't know I think it's Bill and Ted. No.
Bill and Ted. Like,
it's Tim and Eric. So it's Eric is the other best friend, and what's his last name, Eric? Wareheim. So funny. Like, he, like, himself does his own comedy and then is on this show and it's hilarious. And then she's on it too. So, man, I just love when I see, like, for me, like, I love comedy when people use other people that, like, small, like, comedy is such a small circle. You don't realize it until you start working in the circle of comedy, and then you're like, oh, you've worked with him and you know him and this and this and this. Yeah, oh, wow. So I mean, yeah, you should give it a chance and try it again.
But it's like, the thing is, I think because he came out as a feminist, he built an audience on feminists.
Then that happened, and it was
now it's like, dude, the audience you built for yourself by coming out as a feminist, are they going to be there for you now? And it's like, so I think his career is going to be completely different now. I think he's going to have to go back to the bros, and he's going to have to go back to the Tom Habsburg thing and to get his audience back, you know.
Maybe if he's apologetic, if he's really, really sorry, like, for instance, I think Louis C.K. will be able to come back, not soon, but soonish, because he came out and was like, I'm sorry, I'm a pervert. I did those things and they were inappropriate, and I'm really feel bad for it. And he, like, didn't say any, like, he didn't make an excuse for it.
Well, but the thing is that if he didn't know because I thought, like, his response to it was kind of like, okay, yeah, like, what, thank you for admitting something. But he was being asked about it a lot, and he was like, they were all rumors. They were rumors. They were rumors. If you're going to say that they're rumors when these things actually did happen, then you had to have known that what you were doing was wrong. And I don't know. I don't want to sound like sort of primitive in my opinion, but I do get nervous when I date guys who, you know, watch porn and they talk about, and that's kind of like a part of their sexual lifestyle and sexual identity is that, like, they watch porn. Yeah. And because I think it makes sex bad, and I think that it makes them kind of in their own head of what women want, when it's like, actually, I don't want to see you jerk off in front of me, sir. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see your disgusting dick being all rubbed and shit. Whatever you're doing with it.
I think it depends on what I think it depends on which porn you're watching, because I will be honest, I like to watch porn. I do. Okay. I watch porn.
What kind?
I mean,
sorry.
I watch all kinds of porn. I like it more when it's a little more sensual to me, because it's more like romantic and sexy. Sure.
And there are, like, I mean, to be fair, there are some, like, artistic porn companies that make
geared towards women, like, and women are directing them, and they're very beautiful and sexy.
Yeah, I've seen, like, I saw one that was like, there's like this, like, porn. It's like this alternative porn company, and it's like they're like some I don't know, like what they are here. There are porn houses in LA that you see all over the place.
Yes.
So they have one in like Denmark or Holland or whatever, and so and they're hilarious because they're so like they'll be like this woman and she's like dressed in like a Russian with like like thing, and she's like this girl and stuff, and she has like a face tattoo, and she's like a total porn actress. Like she looks like a porn actress and stuff, but then the whole aesthetic is so like artsy fartsy and like independent film and stuff. There's like classical music playing. She's like hanging clothes on the line, and then all of a sudden she takes the sheet down, and there's like this naked dude standing there with like a mask on and
like,
stuff.
Hi, I'm here too.
No. He just stands there and he's just like with his arms out and stuff, and then she goes and she goes and starts sucking his dick, and then it becomes like
I've never seen that one before.
Oh, it's crazy, and it's like this is like what people are jerking off to in Holland or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel you on like how the expectations for sex in men and porn has like made things a little difficult because men are like, oh, this is hot, you know, I want to like, you know, make this girl choke on my dick, and then the girl's like, that really hurt, you know, like so it's like I get it. There is that being pushed into like our children's minds of like what's sexy and what's not. I get that.
Yeah.
But I understand like it's hard when men watch porn because some people get addicted to porn, and you're right.
Do you read erotica at all?
I love erotica.
I love erotica too.
I love erotica, and I do like porn, but I feel like erotica is sexy. Like you can read stories.
Well, because the thing is, erotica is so good. I mean, reading books, like, I mean, it actually, like, it inserts itself into your imagination better. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Then you can imagine who you want.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you don't have to look at, like, maybe these unattractive porn actors and actresses, which sometimes is true.
It always looks like your exes, though. That's the thing.
The porn actors?
Not the porn actors. When you're the erotica characters.
Oh, you think of your exes?
Yeah, of my exes.
I'm, like, trying to think of celebrities. Oh, yeah.
It always has to be guys I've already kind of been intimate with for some reason.
Oh, that makes sense because then you remember how it was. So that's makes sense.
And then I read stuff that happens in erotica, and I was like, oh, that's like something that, I mean, because it's like, it's weird, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought about downloading like an audiobook because I think it's so interesting. Like,
just listen to the sexy book.
But it's like cringy though. Like, I mean, sometimes just like how it sounds and that sort of thing. Like, I just like, if I were to start reading it aloud, like, I don't know how far I can get reading it out loud with. Actually, we could try. Let me see how far I can get reading it out loud with. Okay.
Oh, your erotica book?
Yeah, let me see.
Oh my gosh, I love it because I always see these Devil's Prize. I always see these in the grocery store.
I know,
and I
that's
love
where I
the
get
covers
them.
because she's like, "Oh no, please don't rip my expensive dress," and he's like, "I won't rip it too hard." Look at his face. I love it. I want to be one of the models on the front. Like, right.
Are these actual? Oh yeah, that's right. Fabio was one of the models. I always thought these were just paintings. People actually paint like.
Maybe it is a photographer. I don't know. It looks very. Some of them look like paintings. Some of them. I don't know.
It's weird to think that these were actually real people doing this and stuff.
Right.
Okay, so let's just play.
Do they always? Are they juicy from the get go? Every page.
Oh, every page. A corner of his mouth twisted into a ruthless half smile. If it. That's just.
I love it. Keep reading. Keep reading. I'm ready.
See, because you could just picture it in your mind. A corner of his mouth twisted into a ruthless half smile. Like, ooh. Like, I have an ex that used to do that. He had a ruthless half smile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know. He wasn't a great guy, actually.
I'm sorry.
But anyways, he was hot, though. But, yeah, anyways.
Go ahead.
No, I can't. That's literally all I can read out loud without getting all, like, weirded out by it.
I won't get weirded out. Let me see here. Oh, here's one. Her breasts were pushed up, exposing the top half of her nipples, which have been lightly pink. She cringed to remember the way Madame had touched her there, applying the
Madame?
color. Madame? Is that Madame? Madame?
What?
Ooh.
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 Madame had touched her. Okay, who is Madame?
Ooh la la. No, I don't get it. I don't get embarrassed at all. I mean, maybe it's because I'm a comedian and I'm like used to. I'm pretty raunchy. Like I from very like in college, like I was just like one of those girls who's like, yeah, I farted, so what, you know, or like, oh, you know, my boobs hurt, or, you know, I'm just stupid, like I'm just a goof. So I'm like, I never get embarrassed about like sex or like bodily functions or anything.
See, I'm just like this, like, sex.
You need like a fan, like,
like
but yeah,
like how
maybe
I
it's just because I don't know. I feel like I'm more of a tomboy, so I've always kind of kept up with the guys and kind of had to been like, you know, well, I better, you know, not be too girly, you know. So that doesn't.
I was sort of a reluctant tom. I mean, not. I was always a feminine person, feminine girl.
Really?
Yeah, oh, for sure. And but I had 2 older stepbrothers and stuff, and so they used to do this thing called the AR-47, where because the older one would they would do a fart gun.
Oh,
so the younger one would be on his shoulders,
no,
his shoulder, and
he
his
just
butt.
put his butt in front
of people's faces, and because he could fart on command. Some people can fart on command.
Gift. That's a gift.
Some people can suck air up their butt and fart it out.
What? That is awesome. I wish I could do that. That's an awesome gift to have. Then I could be like, just like whenever I wanted to, just like funny. Farts are funny. It's a cheap joke, but they're funny.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think like because when that first started happening to me, it was like I hated the AR-47. And
I
was
love
like, I was just like,
AR-47.
Like,
that's very clever.
Leave me alone. Stop farting on me. And then, but as the kind of time went on, I started to have an appreciation for it.
The thought of air going up someone's butt is so weird to me. How does that? Because I know people can swallow air and burp on command, but how does your butt swallow air?
I can do that.
What? Yeah. You probably can do it with your butt too.
No, I can't do it with my butt. I'm not going to try doing it with my butt.
I'm like,
yeah, do you just like kind of stand up and like try and air float in, like
like in, you know, like Jim Carrey used to with his butt on Ace Ventura, you know, used to make it talk. Is it like that, like opening the butt like that? I'm gonna try when I get home. I'll call you. Yeah, that's funny. I can't believe you burped like that. That was rad.
I know.
That was huge.
I know.
That was like as if you drank a Pepsi or something.
I could
like
do the
that.
whole alphabet right now, here, right now.
That's a talent. You should go on a talent show and do that.
I know. Maybe if they do, it'd be like this like whole like Miss Congeniality thing.
It is. It's a lost talent like ventriloquism. You know, that's gone. No one does that anymore.
Really?
But now you just go.
Oh, I guess that's true. I would never want to see a ventriloquist.
This was popular back when we were in high school.
What?
Burping the alphabet.
Oh, that's true.
And now it's like, don't burp like that. It's not girly. Like, but it's really cool. Like, how do you do that?
That's true.
See, I can't do it. I just get sick.
I won't use my powers. We relinquished them for a new life.
That's something you could have put on your resume. Barping. I can burp on command.
Burping?
Yeah.
I said barping. Why did I say barping?
I can barp on command. That's a girly way to say it. I don't burp. I barp.
Yes. But
yeah. Awesome.
I feel like there's something else. What else you want to touch up on? Is there anything that you thought find concerning that you want to bring to the table to mention?
No, I think that my biggest thing is diversity. Like that's just my big thing. And I mean, I can't wait to make a little break in the system when I start like getting more of a name for myself in the Hollywood crowd, and then being able to like make my own stuff, you know, like Key and Peele are doing it, you know, like they started their sketch, Second City guys, or Keegan Michael Keegan. How do I say his name? Keegan Michael Key? There we go. Was the Second City guy. And then him and Jordan Peele like started their own sketch group. And then like look at him now. Like Jordan Peele's doing like horror films and like kicking butt and like making diverse like shit. And I'm just like loving the people that are just making their stuff happen, and it's diverse and they're just like making waves. And that's what I'm hoping for with me and Sly Chum. Plug again. Look us up at Sly Chum. But yeah, I'm just waiting. I just want to do that. I want more, you know, everything. not just like in color, like with women too, like more great, juicy, meaty roles for women, not just like the side gal or like, you know.
But there have been so many good roles for women, and I feel like
lately, yes.
Well, no, I mean not lately. I mean there was Cher and Moonstruck, and there was you know, or Stella Got a Groove Back, and that sort of thing. I mean there have been, you know.
I mean,
and so it's
far and few, you know.
That's true, but but it's like I would rather. I mean, one of my biggest things is just like, I mean, like Ghostbusters, like the all-female Ghostbusters. Yeah. And it was like, and it wasn't good. No. And it's like, and it was supposed to be good. And I mean, the thing is that it's like, I mean, I'd rather see women in good roles and in good movies than in shitty movies. You know what I mean? Just because women are in it and I want to see women, I still want to see them in a good product.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
And so it's just, so when they try and, you know, use feminism and women and women equality and the Me Too movement and that sort of thing to sell T-shirts, it kind of bothers me, you know. And it's like, I feel like, it shouldn't be what's selling the product, the story, the movie, what the movie is should be selling itself, and the diversity in it should just be and the women in it should just be, and they shouldn't be the movement shouldn't be doing the work for the product, if that makes sense. And so I don't know, like, I guess they're just, if they're making, I mean, I was really excited about that Scarlett Johansson movie with like Kate McKinnon and stuff that came out. It was about the bachelorette party. Oh, and I don't think
it was bad.
I don't think I've walked out of a movie before.
It was bad.
I went to go see that. I got a movie pour of wine, and it was like a matinee, and I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy my afternoon and see this women movie, and I ended up just like, this fucking sucks. I hate this. This is the worst thing ever. I'm not enjoying this.
Did you see Girls Trip?
Girls Trip? Yeah, Girls Trip was great.
Girls Trip was way better. And I feel like they tried to do that, but it's like, it just didn't work out.
For sure, but it's like, if they make a movie for women and they try and sell it with, oh, it's women being women and women being empowered and that sort of thing.
It's like a Hangover, but with women kind of a thing.
Then it undermines the movement, and it makes the movement, you know, it tainted, because you're using women to sell something that's terrible. Yeah. And therefore making women terrible.
Yes. Yeah. So you're right. Hopefully more things will change, and like we won't be selling things what they're not. You know, I think if it's a good movie, it's a good product, it's gonna get attention. You know, you don't have to sell it with like that kind of like attention. So I think I'm excited for more like good projects, good, you know, writing, good directing, you know, everything. I'm waiting for that, and I'm hoping that's going to happen with like this new wave of like people coming up, because, you know, new people are coming in, and I think that it's going to be a good year
for sure
into the next, hopefully.
Well,
if we don't burn up by the sun, you know what I'm saying? Global warming is real. It's hot.
That's so funny. I had this woman on who was an environmentalist, and she did like this environmentalist documentary and stuff. Oh, she's a female director and stuff, and I just think that I've always been really surprised just how different people can communicate different things so well, and other people can't at all. Yeah. And she really did a really good job in communicating, like, you know, environmental awareness and that sort of thing in a really great way. And I mean, I guess that's what I always try and look for with artists, is that like art, like conveying your art in a really great way that everyone can receive it. Yeah. And I don't know, like, do you feel like, you know, feminism has unified you to other women and to other female creative art, you know, voices and that sort of thing more, or have there been times where you feel like feminism has alienated you in any way?
No, I've never felt alienated. I feel women, like I say before, I felt like there was this competition thing going on with like, I have to be better than you. And I feel like now women are like, no, we don't have to be better than each other. We just have to be for women and just like be supportive of each other, because I'm different than you. You're different than me. We're not the same person. So why are we trying to compare each other? I think it's because society wants to compare us, which sucks. So if we don't want to compare each other, then we shouldn't. And then just let society be them. Like, okay, you can compare us, but we're totally different people. So what can I let's ask the mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Just kidding. Sorry, but no, I don't know. I'm a goof.
Do you think that men have it as bad in like ways that like, because I do feel like I've always felt like men have got the camaraderie thing down. Like that whole like men being men together kind of thing has been, and I've always sort of felt awkward in female groups and that sort of thing sometimes. And I wonder if, and is this like, do men feel this way and that sort of thing? I mean,
I think they do, but they don't show it as much because I mean, they can't, they don't want to. They were like, I got to be confident. I can't let this guy show me up. I can't let this guy come in here, you know? So there's a level. I'm not saying men are more confident than women, but they do come, when it comes to that, they're not going back and reverting of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not this. Guys are like, well, I can't be a pussy, you know?
Yeah.
They're thinking differently than women do. Because when we're around a bunch of girls, we're like, oh my God, she's so pretty. Oh my God, her boobs are bigger than mine. Oh, I wish I had her hips. You know, we're thinking about things that we wish we had. Or like, oh, I'm so nervous. I hope they like me. Ooh, I said a really weird joke. Oh my God, I've got bad gas. You know, like we have all these like things going on in our head. Like when guys are just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, farted. Cool. Let's have a beer. You know, they're not thinking about, maybe they are. I would love to hear a guy's head being like, does that dude think I'm weird? Oh my God, I got a boner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I really want to know what, because guys' heads are, but they are always so confident around each other. They're just dudes. Like, dudes don't have drama. I mean, they do, but it's not like girls. Like, girls have mad drama.
Guys have weird drama.
Yeah, it's not like girls.
Guys have like, he disrespected me. Oh, how did he disrespect you? Well, he used my car. And he said he was going to put gas in my car, and he never did. And I asked him to do it. And I asked him to do it twice. And he still hasn't.
And you know how they
disrespected me.
And you know how they resolve it? I'm really sorry, dude. Here's a beer. He's like, all right, man. It's cool. Whatever. Let's just have a brisky together. Let's watch some freaking Jeopardy. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys get over things so easily. Girls, man, we stuck in the same thing. And we're like, she didn't call me. Like, she didn't text me back. You know. And I'm guilty. I'm one of those girls. Like, I'm always like,
well, yeah, because I feel like as I get older, my cattiness, like, I'm just tired. You know what I mean?
You don't have time for it.
Like, yeah, just like, oh, that girl looked at me weird, and I could go over there and slap the shit out of her, but I'm not going to. And I'm not kidding. I would never do that anymore.
Right. Well, but I'm in my 30s now. Like, I'm 31 years old. So
really?
I'm like, yeah. So I feel like I'm over it. Like, I don't have drama like I did when I was like in my 20s. Like, I felt like I did get really like insecure, and like now that I'm still like I'm only 31, but I still feel like I get over things easier, and then I'm just more chill. I'm more chill. Like, I'm not worried about anything right now. I'm just like, we'll see. You know, can't take life too seriously, or you'll die. No, I'm just kidding. Gotta laugh. You know,
that's true.
Dramas for Real Housewives.
I love drama though.
I do. I like watching it. I don't like being a part of it.
No, I mean, I guess I don't know if I guess my drama is relationship drama, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I feel like,
let me tell you something about that.
Yeah.
Your friends will get really tired of listening to relationship drama. And I know, because I used to talk to my friends about my relationship drama, and they'll be like, stop it. Stop talking to me about your relationship. Go get a therapist. I'm not your therapist. Let's have fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's something that I've learned. I'm like, okay, I won't talk to you about how my boyfriend, forgets to wash the dishes, or like he, forgot, something.
But it's what's going on in your life. And shouldn't that be something people are sort of open to hearing about? Or are you the only friend in your group that's in a relationship that can relate to you?
No, I definitely have friends who are in relationships and they have drama, and we talk about it for like 2 seconds, and then we're like, all right, well, let's not dwell on our relationships. Let's just have fun. Because I feel like when you're talking about your relationships and you're having drama about it, the fun is sucked out of the room, because now we have to pay attention to like, how can we help fix this problem for her? Because she's in a bad mood. Now she's sad,
Yeah.
And, like, I don't mind helping my friends if they have a really issue, like a relationship issue, and then I'm like, here's my 2 cents. And then they take it or not, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't want to sit there. I remember I used to talk about
Oh, yeah, because I remember, like,
ex-boyfriends.
it's like in junior high where it's like, oh, her and Marcus are going out. Tell us about it. Oh, we held hands on the outside for 2 seconds or something like that, you know? And that's like all you would talk about all day is how these two people held hands for a second in junior high. And then it kind of becomes like goes on to high school and then it goes into college. And I just remember, like, I had friends, all they talked about was their boyfriends.
Yeah.
That was like, because they felt like it's what made them interesting. And
so true.
And so it's like their boyfriend. And so was what was making their life, you know, hectic and chaotic and, you know, or you know, they'd have crazy sex and that, and then you talk about that and that sort of thing. And so, but I don't know, I guess that's sort of like my relationships. I don't know. Now I'm starting to think, did I get into crazy relationships and date inappropriate people to have a story, to like have something to tell people about?
No, I don't think you went. I don't know this, but I don't think people go and try to like look for that kind of stuff. I think they're attracted to a certain sort of person, and then it just happens to like be the drama, and then that just is something that you talk about. I don't think that I don't know. Do you like that?
Well, I wonder if this is like maybe something that's in my family. Because I remember my sister, whenever she had a boyfriend, she had like 5 friends. And then her boyfriend would do something. And then she would call each of these 5 friends. And my sister and I, we shared a room. And like we'd be like in this like, you know, like living room together. And so she'd be on the phone and she'd be like, oh my God, you'll never believe what Nick did. He did this, this, and this, and this. And then I said this and this. And then he was like this and this. And then she'd hang up and then, hey, you'll never believe what Nick did. He did this, this, and this. And then I said this, this, and this. And it was just the same thing. She would go through the line, call each and every one of her friends, and tell each friend a relationship. When it was always like the same story, the same scenario, they would say something to her, she would respond. And so I wonder, maybe this is just something like a family thing. Like maybe it's a nurture versus nature thing. Like you and I,
totally.
Like we were just kind of raised to behave differently in relationships.
Totally.
And that sort of thing. And maybe you were raised in a kind of a different way that, you know, don't put stake into boyfriends and that sort of thing. Because I actually think that's really interesting that you and your friends don't talk about relationships that much.
Just a little bit. Like, you know, we'll talk about sex and like that kind of stuff. Like we'll talk about stuff. But like I say, how old are you?
27. So
you're not too much younger. Like but I still feel like, you know, when you start to like, it's weird. And it's so stupid to say like age changes you. But like as soon as I hit 30, my priorities and like my mind kind of just shift. I don't know what it was, but I felt like the drama was necessary. You know, I don't need to like, if I want to talk about relationships, it's about positive things. Or sometimes I'll call my friend crying like, I had a really bad fight with my boyfriend, and you know, but we'll talk about the relationship literally or the fight for 2 seconds. And then I'm just talking about myself and how I feel.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I grew up with my mom. My mom was a single mom, and she raised my sister and brother and I. So I guess I'm just like used to being kind of like an independent kind of person.
Yeah.
But so I kind of don't, I've had relationships where I've been all about the guy, you know, and then had like terrible breakups and then felt like alone and sad and like dark place. And then, you know, the more and more I've grown up, I'm like, you know, I love having a relationship and being in a relationship, but I don't necessarily need it. Yeah. You know, but it's good to have a support system. So
that's true.
Yeah. But it's hard to get there, because I know when I first moved out here, I was like, I had a boyfriend and it was like my world. And I was like, we have to do everything together, you know?
I guess that's hard, because I just having that balance of like a partner and friendships and that sort of things. I feel like so many people, I mean, I feel like men complain about this more than women do. But men it's like, oh, when my male friend gets into a relationship, then he's completely off the
grid.
Yeah. But like women, I don't ever hear that from women. When my female friends get into relationships, I see them just as much. Like,
yeah, sometimes, but sometimes if you have a really close friend, they're like, all you do is hang out with, you know, Roger. It's Roger this, Roger that. What about me? I'm your best friend. You know, so there's that too. Sometimes that happens. But yeah, you got to be careful. You got to make time for both. You got to have your girl time, your relationship time, and, you know, your fun time. you know, where you hang with a couple or, you know, your boyfriend likes your friends. They can all hang out too. But I love girl time.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is nice.
This is really nice.
Really nice.
I'm really excited. I was like, bye, Jay. And he's like, have fun. All sad. I'm like, you'll have some alone time and I will too. It's good. It's good to get away and have some your own thing.
Yeah.
In life, I've learned this. You need to have your own stuff. If you're in a relationship, because Jay and I live together. We do comedy together. Yeah. We work together. Like, that's a lot together. Yeah. So we do need to do our own stuff or we will just go nuts, you know? So it's nice to have your own, like, life besides that. And in other relationships, I didn't do that. I had, like, just them. And I'm like, well, if I'm not hanging out with you, then what do? You know? So you live and you learn. Just like that Alanis Morissette song. You live, you learn. You know that song?
No. But I need to hear this song.
What is it? You cry, you learn.
I just don't like those singers that sound like yodelers.
Yodeling. Wow. I love them.
Like
Jewel.
Shakira. I like Jewel. Shakira. A little bit. Who, like the Cranberries, whoever sings for the Cranberries. Yeah. They just sound like they're yodeling.
I just found out that the Cranberries song Zombie is
Zombie. That's literally yodeling. Zombie.
And it's about war. It's scary.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know what it was about until my brother's like, you know what Zombie's about? It's about like war and like bombs because they're like, with their bombs and their bombs and their bombs.
Really?
And, yeah, it's about like
whenever I hear that song, I always just hear somebody yodeling Zombie over and over again. Zombie, zombie, zombie.
Like, I love it.
Yodeling.
Yodeling's hard.
I just imagine like with the person like with the little like
the little yodel
in the little outfit, the little overalls with the little
yodelily
zombie.
That's funny. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of yodeler singers out there that sound like they're yodeling.
Yeah. Well, I drove up to Bakersfield and I made a Spotify playlist and I put Jewel on there and I didn't
she's an actual yodeler.
Yeah,
she's trying to yodel when she's yodeling.
I didn't realize how much I knew all of her songs and loved her songs. So she was pretty popular.
Oh yeah, there's that song. She has this really great song.
For so long. No, that song.
She hears Daddy, her song Daddy.
No, that's when she went kind of poppy, when she tried to be poppy. And
No. It was from one of her original albums and stuff. And it's just like this. It's because I guess like she has like a tumultuous relationship with her father, and she wrote this total fuck you song to her.
I know what song you're talking about,
and it's just this, and it's great, and it's intense, and it's really dark, and it's really like, you know, like just you shitty person, you and stuff, and I just like, and it's like, great, and there's not many songs written about fathers that way.
No,
and sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you need a daddy song. Yeah. That's what we have her and Alanis Morissette for, to just write these really raw songs. Like, I love them.
But they sound like yodelers.
I love yodeling. So maybe that's why I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think about Yodel Boy in Walmart?
What the frick is a Yodel Boy? I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a slur for white Southern children.
I've never heard that.
They're called Yodel Boys.
Yodel boys.
Yodel boys.
I just imagine these little yodeling boys. Like,
that's what they are.
Yodel lordy.
No, there was this YouTube sensation. There was this little boy, and he was just like standing in this aisle at Walmart and yodeling and singing. Yeah, and somebody.
That's my favorite.
And somebody captured the magical moment on camera and put it online.
Damn, and good for him. Now he's famous, like Bacon Boy.
I know. So yeah. Do
you remember Bacon Boy?
Who's Bacon Boy?
Oh my God. Okay, when you guys get home, both of you need to get on YouTube and look up Bacon Boy. It was on this show called Wife Swap. And when the wives used to swap.
I remember this.
Do you remember the little boy?
Hilarious.
She's like, no more bacon. He's like, bacon? Let me tell you something. Bacon is good for me. And he gets all pissed off and he's like this cute little like boy with this like bowl cut and he's like packing his bags. He's like, and I'm leaving until you're gone next Sunday. You'll never see this face again. Oh my God. It's like the funniest. I can watch that every day.
The thing is, this can't be real.
Just watch
like,
it.
I mean, can this be real? Like, yeah. I mean, it has to be like the producers are like, okay, little boy with the bowl cut. You need to throw a fit.
No, he did it on his own. No. I can see it. There's no play in that. He's just him.
They will be like, we will give you $10 every time you express anger towards this woman for not.
I watch a video of him now when he's like older. He's so cute still. And he's like, I got my own bacon, King Curtis bacon. And he's like living on the farm. And he's like, oh, he's just the coolest kid. I want to give him money. I'm like, you're so cool.
You think he's that cool that you just want to hand him money?
Yeah, give him a show. I watch his show. He was just so, he said, I mean, farm kids are interesting.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like kids that grow up on a farm or like, they're just like,
they're so innocent, but they're so creepy too.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money, so we're kind of just making up our own
I knew a girl who was from a farm when I was in boarding school. Why am I saying that? Boarding school. I said, barping. Anyways, but in boarding school, I met this girl, and she was from a farm, and she was the sweetest girl in the world. She wasn't allowed to watch PG-13 or R-rated movies, and she was really sensitive about some content in PG movies. I remember that, so she was like really sensitive about like seeing like it's like they said this West like heck. She would get offended and stuff. And then, but at the same time, she was just like, well, every year we got a cow, and I'd name the cow, and then we'd kill the cow, and we'd eat the cow and stuff. And so, and it was just, and she would just, and that was her life and stuff. And it's like, so every year they would get a new pet, and every year they would kill an old pet that they had for a year and stuff, and they'd raise it up to be fresh and rump and ripe or
I like rump.
Rump.
We got that cow nice and rump. Now he's good.
It sounds like something a farmer would say.
I like it. I'm like, we got that cow rump.
But YouTube sensations, I mean, you just like, I remember my favorite one ever, I think in history, was like hide your kids, hide your wife.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
And it's like the situation behind it is so upsetting because this guy like crawled in to like a second story window and took off all his clothes and got into bed with a woman and her child and tried to rape the woman while lying next to her freaking kid. And luckily this guy was there to chase him out of there and stuff, but he was such a colorful character. Yeah. And it's just, he just starts going, hide your wife, hide your kids. But it's like, you have just rescued your sister from like being raped. And it's like, this could have been so bad if you weren't there. Yeah. And it's like, but he's so funny. And you're just laughing at how like, just like hide your dog, hide your pigs and stuff like that. And he's just saying like, and it's so funny, but the situation behind it is so horrifying. Yeah. And it's just, I think that's what comedy is supposed to be. You're just supposed to be able to laugh at all these horrifying things.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's things, horrible things happen. And there's some things that like, shouldn't joke about, but there are things that are like horrible, but they're so ridiculous that like we have to bring light to them. And if we don't bring light to them, then we're just going to be sad and depressed. And like, what's the better thing is to feel happy and not like that. So we have to bring light to certain dark areas because we're going to be living in a terrible, like dark place. No one wants to do that. So that's why I feel like comedy is good, like lighting people up.
Well, I mean, as far as censorship and comedy, I mean, the problem is that like, I don't think it's like somebody shouldn't say that. I think somebody shouldn't laugh at that, Right. And so it's like, say whatever jokes you want and stuff, but it's like, I do put the responsibility on the audience to like, if, you know what, if somebody is saying something that's really horrifically wrong and coming from a bad place or something like that, and where it's like, then don't laugh and that sort of thing. Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, people tell jokes about things that I'm connected to all the time. And it's like, oh, well,
and some person might be like offended because they're like, well, I'm not connected to that. That's horrible. So it's like I say, it's all about, it's very subjective. Comedy is very subjective. And you just have to kind of like either love it, hate it, or, just try not. I'm just tired of people getting offended. I'm just like, get over it. Like, come on, guys, lighten up. We need to lighten up.
I'm sensitive about people with like handicaps, like mental conditions and that sort of thing. Like I would be really offended if like I heard comedians started making fun of somebody with autism or something like that. Just, I mean, in a way that was like vulgar or making or offensive.
To me, comedy isn't funny when you're making fun of people. It's an easy way to be. That's the easy way out. If you're a clever comedian, you're gonna find it's always better to make fun of yourself and talk from your perspective of like, this is me, I don't want to hear about you making fun of other people. I want to hear about what's funny to you. Like, why do I connect to you? oh, you grew up on a farm and you have a really funny thing about being on a farm. So do I.
Yeah.
I love comedy when they're talking about themselves and their life experiences.
Yeah.
I hate comedy when they're sitting there like ragging on like everything but themselves.
Yeah.
That to me is a poor choice of comedy, and it's not funny.
When they're coming from a place of love, like if they genuinely love the group of people that are making fun of, like, I mean, Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Sure.
You know, they did the Mormon musical,
Yes.
Book of Mormon. And it's hilarious. But it's like you kind of get the sense like these people actually really like Mormons. Like you could tell, like they actually respect
wasn't
Mormons.
One of them a Mormon, or didn't he like nothing?
No, I don't think so. No. And
it's crazy.
But I do think that they actually kind of respect Mormons. Like I think that they actually think Mormons are good people. Yeah, exactly, because they made lovable characters out of Mormons. You know, and you have, if you're going to make you can't make lovable characters out of Nazis and stuff. I mean, I couldn't imagine that you could love a character like that or root for a character like that, you know. And so if you're creating characters like that, then you must come from a place of loving people. Yeah. And so but I worked with this guy, and he was like, he has like a sister-in-law. So he's married, his wife has a younger sister who's severely mentally challenged, and he'll tell stories about, you know, because like, and I think that they all live together and stuff, and so he's like, you know, has a relationship with his sister-in-law that he like is kind of a caretaker, you know, supportive person for this. But he'll talk about his sister-in-law and all these stuff that she does, that, like where she's like picking up, you know, rocks off the ground and trying to eat them and stuff, and he's just like, no, Sherry Ann, you know, don't eat that rock and stuff. And he's like he's telling these funny stories about, you know, kind of having this, you know, to deal with his sister-in-law and all the silly stuff that she does because, you know, I know that's not okay, I guess, but because, you know, she's mentally handicapped and stuff, and it's hilarious and it's so funny, but he's coming from a place of like he really loves his sister-in-law, and he doesn't want her to die from choking on eating a rock, and so him having to like, you know, run and chase her and stuff, so she doesn't like.
It's his own experience. Like I don't think you have your own experience about different things.
I do see stuff where it's like I feel like a lot of comedians, I mean, especially at open mics where they're just trying to get attention or they're trying to get shock, and they'll start going in and making fun of people that are retarded, or they'll go in and start making fun of people who are mentally handicapped.
But this was great. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. Honestly, this is such a huge support for me. You have no idea.
Yes, I'm excited for this podcast. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to come to one of your shows. Yes. And then,
so you can check me out at Slidechum. That's my comedy duo. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, what is it? Venmo? Vimeo. Just started with that, so I don't know. No, but we're on all, like, you know, social medias.
That's our show. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have an amazing week, and we will see you back here next Monday. Have a nice day. Good night.